All right. He told you to be a short layover between this video and the last video, but you're going to McMurdo. You've packed your bags, you got your job offer, days are counting down, hard part's over, but there's still a little work left between now and being in Antarctica in your room in 155, for, let's say. And there's a little bit of work you got left in between now and then. So, assuming you've watched the other video, you got your bags packed, everything's cool. We're not doing that again. That was a long video. It was like 20 minutes. So, this is more, obviously, like in the last video, U.S. Antarctic program. You're going to McMurdo or the pole, because that's where I'm familiar with the process of getting to those places. Other countries, other locations, your mileage may differ, but that's what I'm talking about here. So, I think most people, especially those in the U.S. Antarctic program, end up going. Unless you go to like you're one of the like 70 at Palmer Station or whatever, but so be it. Once you know you're going, you are going to get at some point access to bridge for training. And in bridge, there is a couple of videos you end up having to watch. And it's kind of like a self-paced, online-based training, which firefighters you're very familiar with. That's what I am. Other companies, other jobs, we've all been there. You watch the video, you take the quiz at the end, you have to get, 70% right to pass, and yay, golf clap, congratulations, you passed the class, that kind of stuff. And those are all your very exciting classes and things you have to review. Some of them are like polar code of conduct or computer usage, where it's the big wall of text, and at the end of it, you have to click, I agree to follow the rules, or I don't agree to follow the rules. And it's basically saying you've read, air quotes, the code of conduct policy, and you're not going to, harass people or look up things on the company computer or that kind of stuff, where there's not so much a class as it is, you know, a big wall of text and you click, yes, I agree. Other ones are actual training videos, which are like the layout of the town and, you know, how to, interact with your coworkers, the usual HR, be nice to everybody kind of classes. There's specific classes that you have to watch, videos that you have to watch on. Here's the speed limits around town. Here's, the rules of driving down here. Here's where you can and can't drive at the certain, the airfield. Here's the proper channels when you got to talk to central comms or the fire department or this radio channel or that radio channel. You know, usual new hire kind of preparing you for the life down there kind of stuff. And if you're like me, bridge isn't working for you, which seems to be more of an issue with returners just because mini rant. My stuff from last year expires in October. And so I'm getting emails saying, oh, you have to do this training because it's set to expire when you're down there. And the internet down there is kind of hit and miss. So do it now. And you go to do it, and it's like, why are you taking this class again? You can't take this class again. You're good for another month yet. You don't have to take this class. And no one can tell me who to email to fix that. So, yay. I have trainings I have to do, but I can't do them. So that's a problem for future me. But figure it out later. But You get your bridge trainings done. In bridge, in addition, there's a little section of travel documents that you have to go in and print off. And it's got a bunch of useful information like the weight limits for your luggage, important phone numbers for if you miss a flight, if your flight's delayed or weather canceled or something. Here's who to call to get a hotel room and alternate flights and that kind of stuff. It gives you, what is some other stuff in that? I gotta look it up, but I gotta look at mine, but I don't really want to be putting my stuff on blast for all of YouTube to see because it's got like my info in it. But stuff like that, important phone numbers, how to get through the New Zealand customs, what little road to take. You go to you follow the yellow line when you get to the Christchurch airport after your travel to go through customs, that kind of stuff. Um, I don't think of other stuff you get. You get at some point in the process when you know that you're going, you're going to get ooh, room and clothing is what I'm going to call it, and it's a Dropbox thing. It's the same kind of thing that you do for your medical background checks, your medical process stuff, but you get emailed a bunch of forms. You got to email them. This is the size coat that I need. This is the size shoes that I need. Are you for rooming? Are you a smoker? Do you snore? Would you be okay sleeping with people of different genders? Would you be okay with a roommate or not? That kind of stuff. If you know who you want to be as your roommate, write down people you want to have as a roommate if you somehow know people that are going down and you want to be roommates with them, that kind of stuff. More like lodging and clothing issue stuff, forms that you gotta fill out and send in. And somewhere in here, they also get your passport information, so they have all that on file. Right bef- Eventually, you'll get ticketed and get your hotel arranged for what hotel you're going to stay in New Zealand. You're eventually going to get your travel, what airport you fly out of, when you fly out, all that kind of stuff. Once you have that, that gives you A, when you're leaving home so you can tell people, and B, that gives you, deadlines for packing, kind of sets you up for the travel ahead and all that stuff. So you eventually get, a list of your flight numbers and your times and your airports and all that stuff. And then try to give other stuff, schedule, room stuff, travel, your trainings. Right before you fly out, um, right, like, and it's time sensitive, so you do it like within 24 hours of you leaving your house to go to the airport when the time comes for you to fly out. You have to do the New Zealand like travel declaration form that you present to New Zealand Customs, which basically is kind of like your little thing that says, I'm going to the U.S. Antarctic program. Here's my passport number. Here's, my name, all that stuff, and customs info that you have to do to go through New Zealand customs. So that's something else you have to worry about right before you fly out. And then you also have, along with your travel docs, you get general stuff like if you're flying United and you're traveling out of the country, you get an extra thing of luggage free, an extra luggage tag, and here's for people, you know, ticketing people to look up, the account number for that, like just general stuff like that you're gonna end up getting when you're getting ready to go. But you're officially now All that's done. You filled out all your forms. You leave your house. Go to the airport. Wave bye to friends and family. Start your journey. However you get to New Zealand, different people take different routes. It all depends on where you live, obviously, and all that stuff. But usually you end up arriving in Auckland and then take a. You end up in Auckland, you go through customs, and then you go take another little connecting flight down to Christchurch. Once you're in Christchurch, you leave the airport, you collect your baggage, and you meet up, and they're pretty good at it, a representative of USAP or the company, and you say, hey, hi, I'm with the U.S. Antarctica Program. They tell you, hey, look out for the guy in the orange vest or green vest or whatever. He gives you a packet, which is, this is with like your hotel info and, you know, what day you're going to gear issue and your predicted flight date to go down to Antarctica and all that stuff. So once you get your little info, welcome to New Zealand packet, you take a shuttle to your designated hotel and then check in, and you're there for at, at least 3 days right now. I think they're trying to even squeeze it into 2 days, get some more stuff done ahead of time, but at the time of this video, it's 3 days you're down there. The first day is kind of like a freebie day, if you will. Is it? No, the day you arrive is kind of like your freebie day. If you arrive at noon, you get the afternoon kind of settle in, go to the store, buy some stuff to bring down Antarctica with you if you've played the game before, that kind of stuff. But grab some food. Next day, there's often one of two things will happen. One is you'll go to gear issue at the Christchurch Airport at the Antarctic Center, the CDC, and get your cold weather gear, your parka, your boots, all your stuff. Make sure it fits. Get, I think you can like pre-weigh your gear, pre-weigh your bags. Make sure you're sitting good. If you got to take some stuff out, you can store it away there. Pick it up when you head home, or mail it off at the post office. That's right next door. Get your computer card activated for when you go down. All that kind of background gear issue, computer access cards, all that stuff. That's kind of the first day, and then the second day will be more virtual live attendance, like Zoom meeting classes. And usually it's more of an HR, welcome, so happy you're here, break off into small groups, how would you react if someone's, had a couple drinks of alcohol and they're, being mean, or how would you react if you think someone in your department's being harassed, or, you know, the usual HR, you know, makes you think kind of classes, that kind of stuff. Meet the people you're flying down with and small talky, that kind of stuff. And then once you're kind of through that and you've done all your bridge classes, which can take a little bit of time, so if you can get them done in the US ahead of time, neat. If you're like me, you might end up getting stuck in your hotel room doing bridge classes, but whatever, is what it is. Then it comes down to waiting for your flight. And if you're lucky like me, they tell you, hey, the flight's on this day, tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., the shuttles will pick you up. And then you go, and lucky you, put your gear on, take the little bus out to the plane, and you fly down. Early in the season, late in the season, when the weather is changing, the seasons are changing. 3 weeks, sitting on your hands because the weather sucks and the planes aren't flying. So you may be down there 2-3 days, or you may be down there 3 weeks. Your mileage will vary. But once it's flight time, you put your gear on, Get your baggage squared away, weighed, and shipped off to be put on a pallet and put on the plane. Load up on the Air Force, the C-17 or the C-130, and then start your flight. Now, again, all goes well. You land at Mc Murdo Station, one of the two airfields. Um, if all goes unfortunately, you get three-quarters of the way there, and the weather's bad, and they boomerang, and you end up back in New Zealand minus most of your baggage, and you're waiting again for another chance to take a crack at it. But assuming you land, you get ushered off the plane. I guess pictures would be nice, but there's really nothing picture-wise. You're having LC. You get off the plane. You get off your plane. You walk to the bus, the crest, the the Delta from 1977, or a van, and you get driven into McMurdo Station. Now you've arrived, but the day's not quite over. Depending on the size of your group, you will either go into the galley in 155 or the library and the lab or somewhere and get a big welcome to McMurdo orientation. I like that paint scheme. Why don't they do that? That's nice. But they do a big orientation. Welcome. You get your room key if you're lucky, and I think most apartments are nice. Some people you're going to be working with will meet you once the welcome to meeting is done, help find your room with you. You'll go pick up your bags once they're taken off the pallet, taken off the plane, shown to your room, start unpacking your bags, and congratulations, you're in your new home for 5 months, 6 months, a year, maybe, depending on how long you stay. Hard part's done. You're here. It's a lot. It's kind of a long story. It's a long journey, but neat. And then your new coworkers, your new friends and family for the next amount of time will eventually say, "Hey, show up to this is where your workspace is going to be. Show up tomorrow or 2 days from now or however long it is," and then you start getting trained up. And if you're coming down this year being summer 2025, the summer season for 25-26, and you're flying down in, I don't know, beginning of October, you fly out October 1st. Hi, see you down there. Or if you're arriving late, hey, see you on ice when you get down there. But that's the story. That's the trip. It's a lot, especially if you're me going from middle of Wisconsin, never going more than 2 counties away from your house, 2 hour drive away from home, to three-quarters the way across the planet. But hey, it's an experience. And with that, it's late. I'm tired. It's 2 in the morning. I got bags packed, counting down the days. So as far as this YouTube channel, which you know, if people who watch my other stuff are watching this video, which maybe if you've made it this far, but there may be one more video coming, just saying, hey, here's the deal. There's plans on a podcast between me and one of the other guys down there, which won't come out until I'm home because of internet and uploading and things, but there will be stuff coming out. It may be, because we plan on wintering over, it may be September 2026 before this stuff comes out, this podcast comes out, and all these videos, but Neat. And with that, thank you for putting up with my nonsense.